This is 40K Today. Thanks to the new rules, when you're an engagement range of this podcast, you can still operate on your top profile. Hashtag new 40K.
Hello and welcome to 40K Today. This is your 15-minute daily news and interview show that covers the entire hobby of Warhammer 40,000. We get competitive on the tabletop, we paint and kit bash with the best in the business, we find hobby tips, and we meet the most amazing people in our all-around awesome community. Today is Monday the 10th of August, and on the show we speak to another woman in Warhammer, but first we head over to the land of the hobbits for a really cool tournament report. Our 40K Today poll question of the week is all about how you like your 40K content. We want to know, do you regularly watch battle reports? Bat reps have quickly grabbed a huge market share of the online Warhammer content. Let us know your favorite bat rep creators in the comments below. Make sure you come to the 40K Today Facebook page and sound off. We want to know what you think. There aren't so many tournaments on around the world right now, but New Zealand is back to operating almost as normal. Over the weekend, one of the first new edition tournaments took place with 30 players, including the current number one ranked player in 4 of the top 10. In the end, it was Aaron Wilson and his very tough Ad Mech list that took the title. Steve spoke to Aaron about his first event win and why Ad Mech is going to be one of the top factions in 9th edition.
Aaron Wilson, thanks for joining us on 40K Today. Appreciate it. And congratulations, man. First tournament win over the weekend. Well, the first big, 2-day, 5-round tournament. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it feels great, Steve.
So let's talk about... Can we start with your list, your Ad Mech list? Tell us the guts of what was in. We don't expect you to go unit by unit, but the guts of kind of what was in your list and the thinking behind it.
Well, basically, I just took a ton of breaches, 15 breaches, 3 units of 5, and a whole lot of artillery to back it up while they pushed out, and buffing characters.
And the deal with the breaches is I'm assuming you took the 5-up invul, so that they get a 5+5++, and they're just super hard to kill, right? So in 9th edition, that's key.
Well, actually, no, because in the grand tournament book, you're not allowed to take the special detachments anymore. So I kind of just took them stock standard. But now in 9th edition, with everyone running vehicles and then using them as troops, they're quite good being able to do that D6 damage. So they came in clutch quite often.
Really? So it wasn't about them being as durable as much as it was the damage they can do. That's interesting. I just assumed you had the breaches in the list because of the durability. Although, were they durable? Do you find they lasted well?
Yeah, they were either very durable or they were just big targets for my opponents. So they were always shooting at them, and left the rest of my artillery free to just rain fire.
How do you find your did you take the Dune Crawlers and the Scorpius tanks?
Yeah, the Scorpius tanks went up to about 150 now, but I'm still taking them because they're still brilliant. And I was taking 3 of the Icarus Stone Crawlers, the anti-air, the gun on there.
Right.
Yeah, they all worked brilliantly.
Right. And the thing with so the one failing that I keep thinking maybe with tanks, particularly for marine tanks, is no invul. But the Scorpius tanks don't have an invul, and they last, right? And how do you keep them alive? Is it having too much other stuff to shoot at, or is it keeping them out of range, or how do you keep those tanks alive despite the lack of an invul?
For the majority of the game, so I kind of had 3 layers. I had the breaches up front, then I had the Icarus Doom Crawlers, which do have the invul between them, and then I had the Scorpius at the back, either out of line of sight or just far back in the board as I can. And since the boards they're smaller now, you can get them into range a lot easier, so you don't have to worry about not being in range.
Yeah. So Ad Mech in 9th, in general, where do you think they sit going into 9th edition? Keeping in mind they also had a pretty good Psychic Awakening.
Oh, yeah, it was an amazing book. I think they're definitely going to up the top there. I think they're easily one of the best shooting armies in 40K at the moment.
They've always had a lot of shooting though, right? So there's something, what do you think it is that's happened? Is it because it was such a good book, or do you think maybe 9th suits Ad Mech the way that 9th plays? Does that suit the army?
It seems to suit it quite well as the Engine War Warlord trait, which allows exploding sixes on all your shots,
Yeah.
which is just amazing. One of the best Warlord traits in the game for sure.
Or amazing or filthy, depending on which side of it you're on.
Yeah.
I've been on the receiving end of that Warlord trait too many times. So you think in ninth, Ad Mech are going to be up the top? And look, everybody's talking about going into ninth. Everybody theory crafting and theory hammering is talking about the return of vehicles, the return of tanks. They're saying tanks are going to be amazing. Do you think, from your experience, having played a couple of tournaments now and playing a bunch of practice ninth games, do you think that's the way it looks like it's playing out to start with?
At the moment, kind of, yeah, because I think about 4 out of 5 of my games over the weekend, my opponents basically had all the tanks, so I could fill out the secondary to max that out. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, there's a lot of vehicles around. So
right,
definitely.
okay. Do you think it's likely to swing back the other way then? People going, well, look, if there are so many tanks on the board and everything's arming to be anti-tank, maybe Hordes are suddenly going to make a comeback.
Possibly. I think we'll find a nice middle ground for it, really, where you can't max out against vehicles, and Hordes, you can't max out on that either. So
that's where people go with these, right? They try and figure out a way of preventing the opponent from scoring while trying to get their own points. Did you find the other thing that's worth asking about is the secondaries in the new missions? Did you find it was as hard as people are saying it is to max out on secondary points?
Depends on your opponent, depends on your army, I guess. I took, obviously, the vehicle and monster secondary, which I pretty much maxed out on every single game except for one, I believe.
Yeah.
And I took grind them down quite often, which I believe is a kill more.
Right.
With Ad Mech being so durable, I pretty much maxed that out most of the rounds.
Yeah. So killing, like you had the big guns. Breaches are good again, which is awesome for Ad Mech. And Ad Mech in general, you think are going to be right up near the top, at least going into ninth, new codexes notwithstanding. Hey, congratulations again. So a big win over the weekend, best general, first overall, and a leap into the top 5 in the New Zealand rankings. So all around a pretty good weekend for Aaron. Tell us, if we want to hear more from you, Mr. Wilson, tell us where we can find you other than right here, right now.
Yep, so I'm part of a podcast called Properly Copped. You can find it on Facebook. Basically cover the top 5 lists and anything, 40K.
Yep.
Be it books, characters, units, everything basically.
So it's all, yeah. I know that one because I'm on it as well. So, full disclosure for our 40K Today audience, I co-host that with Aaron. So, we're just giving a plug to our other thing we do. Mate, thanks very much and well done again. I'm really stoked for you. I know a lot of work has gone into getting there over that weekend. Well done.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Sounds like New Zealand is turning into a real 40K hotspot. Today's episode of 40K Today is brought to you by Frontline Gaming. Frontline Gaming is a one-stop shop for all your Warhammer hobby needs, discounted products, American-made gaming mats and terrain, and a full line of miniatures painting service and daily hobby content. And this can all be found at frontlinegaming.org. And welcome back. Emma has been attracting a heap of attention online with her amazing, super colorful Tau and Necron painting. She painted a Riptide which wowed with bright oranges, greens, blues, and a lot of crosshatch. Our own Tanya Gates spoke to Emma about how she came to the hobby, her YouTube channel, and how she developed her unique style.
We are here for another Women in Warhammer feature, and I'm so excited to be talking with Emma today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we actually featured you as model of the day, and then we got to talking, and I was like, we have to get her on the program. So let's get started with the first question. How did you get started in the hobby?
Well, I have been interested for a long time, since I was a teenager, but I never really actually got into the hobby. But then about 3 years ago, a new hobby store was opening in the local, in my nearby city. And I walked in and there was this guy called Casper, and he was really, really enthusiastic about the whole thing. And I think he spent about 45 minutes telling me all about Age of Sigmar. And I thought, well, that sounds so cool. And then I found a box of Seraphon, which is like, lizards riding on giant dinosaurs. And I thought, well, what's not to love? right?
Yeah.
So I bought a box of that, and I have never looked back since. And now I think I have, I don't know, hundreds of painted models and perhaps 1,000 unpainted.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Actually, my pile of shame is
It's
mountainous.
growing all the time.
Yeah. The coolest thing is that your paint style is so unique with all like
Thank
the
you.
bright colors and the cross hatching. And do you have like a background in art?
No, not formally at least. I've been painting and drawing for as long as I can remember, and I've also been, drawing portraits using just a pencil and stuff. So in that way, I have always been interested in art, but I haven't been formally trained or anything.
Interesting. I really found it. So I've been watching your interview or your YouTube videos, and I love how you experiment with like non-traditional mediums. Like watching you do that watercolor pencil video was really interesting. Um,
Thank you.
do you have a favorite product that you found through just like experimenting with non-traditional mediums?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think my favorite is just finding new stuff and trying things out. That's what keeps me motivated to paint. Just, trying stuff out. I think I will have to be so traditional as to say that my very, very favorite product of all is the very old Citadel chestnut ink. And I think
Mhm.
it's from the 90s or something. But I just love that ink.
Yeah, I actually have a few of those as well. I don't use them as much as I used to, but maybe I should break them out of the old bin and give them
You
a try
should.
again.
They're
Yeah,
awesome.
they are pretty cool, actually. Um, Also, we have something in common. So we both paint to play. For
Yeah.
me, that is my like biggest motivator to keep painting. Like, yep, I'm gonna put this on the table. I'm gonna play with it. It's
Mm.
gonna be awesome. So do you have a favorite faction in 40K in which you play with, but also to paint?
Yeah, the orcs. I
The
love my
orcs.
orcs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm relatively new to 40K. As I said, I started out with the Age of Sigmar, and for a long time I thought that that was the only thing I was going to be both painting and playing. But then I slowly got sucked into the madness of collecting and painting orcs. I actually also have some Sisters of Battle because I thought it was cool that they were actually coming out with the plastic sisters. And now I also have a Necron army, mostly in a pile of shame, but still. So it's, yeah, I can't. It's going completely crazy now.
What is it about orcs that you love so much?
I think they're fun. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just silly. You can put
Yeah.
anything on them and just be like, well, they believe it works, so it works. And you
Yeah.
can do any sort of experimentation. And I just wanted an army that I was thinking, I am going to enjoy putting this on the table every single time, no matter how the game goes. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it would be just fun to put these brightly colored orcs on the table. And even if I lose and get shot off the table in turn one, I will still feel happy about having seen them on the tabletop. So that was the goal. Because I'm not a good player, I really am not. So chances are I'll lose way more than I win. So I wanted something that I could just enjoy seeing on the table.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that I'm an average player. Like when I go to tournaments, I'm slowly getting up the ranks, but I'm just like at the mid tables now after like trying really hard for the past year to get better. So I definitely feel that, and that's why I will not switch my faction either. I just love my faction. I love seeing it on the table.
What do you
Um,
play?
I play Imperial Guard actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so my paint style is actually a little bit different from yours because mine is very like muted, but also
Mm.
very clean. But yeah, I just really enjoy seeing them on the table, and that's why I'm not gonna quit them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So last question.
Hmm.
Your video that you did about the 7 things you miss about Warhammer, it really, really struck a chord with me because I play quite a bit. But have you ever tried Tabletop Simulator?
No, I haven't. I've thought about it, but I'm really, really not very good with technology and computers. So so far I have decided against it. I also do have to say that Denmark came out of the quarantine or the lockdown pretty early on, so I've been able to play through the summer as well.
Okay, perfect.
So it hasn't
Yeah.
been too bad for me.
Yeah, Canada's come out pretty good on my half of the country, so I've started to play and I've done a tournament as well. But if you ever do want to try Tabletop Simulator, I would love to play you sometime.
Oh, really? Well, I'd be, up for giving it a go with someone who would be patient, especially with the technological side of things.
Yeah, I'm definitely patient, and I just love playing with new people. So
Oh, that sounds awesome.
yeah, that would be really fun. But thanks so much for coming on the show, and I will make sure that we put all the links to get people to watch your awesome videos.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Make sure you check out Emma's YouTube. It's really fun. Links, as always, will be in the show notes. Okay, 40K folks, let's get pumped up. It's time for Model of the Day.
It's the model of the day, the model of the day, the model of the day.
As the late, great Harry Carey would say, holy cow, today's model of the day is, in a word, amazing. It is Magnus the Red by Phoenix Commissions. The beautiful teal armor for this model is perfectly offset with the dark crimson of his wings and skin. Excellent use of object source lighting completes the overall impact of this model. Indeed, this model would be a proud centerpiece to any army for sure. Now, if you want to get your model featured on our show, just tag it with our hashtag 40K today, or send us a message on Facebook and we will feature your model. And that's it for today. A big thanks to our content producer, Alex Painter, our amazing social media Wonder Woman, Tanya Gates, and our technical producer, Seamus Ronan, for all their hard work once again in putting the program together. If you like the show and like to help us out, we'd love it if you left us a review. Those reviews help other people find the show, and we are extremely grateful for everyone that has left. Until the next time, for the entire 40K Today team, I'm John Demeritz, and that's what's happening in